Imagine cheating the casino without anyone noticing, winning thousands, and walking away without any consequence. In today's video, we are diving into the story of Daryl Purpose, a man who was a master at card counting and created a hidden device to cheat the casinos, all without getting caught. Born in the mid-20th century, Daryl Purpose grew up in a typical American household. However, at the age of 16, he ran away from home with just $50 in his pocket. He wanted to make his own way in the world. He was a wanderer and hitchhiked across America too. It was this drive that led him to the world of card counting. He lived in cheap motels, sometimes even on the streets, doing odd jobs to survive. When he was 18 years old, he joined a secret group of card counters. The training to become a card counter was intense. He had to spend hours every day trying to practice his counting skills with different decks of cards. The goal was to maintain the count even in the high pressure of a busy casino environment. He started to hone the techniques mentioned in Eb Thorpe's Beat the Dealer. His training involved more than just card counting. He and his team also practiced how to maintain their composure under pressure. They did mock interrogation sessions to prepare for any encounters with casino staff or, worse, the police. He had a natural talent for this and was also a quick learner, so he stood out amongst all the card counters. Soon, he was noticed by Ken Uston, a famous card counter. Ken Uston had a team, but it was not a team of ordinary gamblers. Each member had a specific role, and they worked together as a well-oiled machine. Daryl's job was to be the spotter. He had to sit at the blackjack table, play for small stakes, and keep track of the card count. Then he would signal the big player, who would place large bets when the count was in their favor. With this method, they were able to avoid being detected. The big player seemed to be on a lucky streak rather than working on a criminal team. Daryl easily and quickly adjusted to this new role. He had mastered the signals and was now an important part of Ken's team. These signals could be anything from a tug of the ear to a scratch on the nose, and he could easily communicate when the deck was hot. The system worked well, and in a matter of a few months, Daryl was making more money than he had ever imagined. He bought a new motorcycle, enjoyed luxurious parties, and lived a life of extravagance, all funded by his casino winnings. However, success always comes with its risks, especially in the gambling world. The casinos started to notice their frequent wins, and there were rumors swirling about Ken Uston's team. One night after a successful session at one of the casinos, Ken was dragged into a back alley by casino security. He was brutally beaten, giving a clear message from the mob-run casinos. After this troublesome incident, Daryl knew his turn would also come soon. The money he was getting was very good, but the danger he was risking was also very real. One night, Daryl was tapped on the shoulder while playing at a blackjack table. He was escorted to a back room where two large men were sitting, one holding a pair of stainless steel pliers. This was his wake-up call. The casino boss offered him half of his winnings to leave and never come back. It was a clear threat. Daryl was smart at what he did, but he knew he couldn't be as smart as the house. So he took the deal and left. However, he also went on to search for a new approach. Now, Daryl teamed up with his friend Craig, a local shoemaker. Together, they came up with a plan to create a hidden device that would allow Daryl to keep on counting cards without drawing any attention to himself. They started by building a series of miniature circuit boards and switches that they could easily hide inside a shoe. When he would tap his shoe, he could keep track of the card count, and the device would buzz to signal if he should bet high or low. He also tried using other devices such as tiny microphones and concealed cameras to track the dealer's movements and card distributions. Now, it was too risky to test this device in Vegas, so they headed to England. Casinos were smaller there, and security was weak too. They spent 2 days registering with multiple casinos and preparing for their first trial run. On the trial day, Daryl went into Annabelle's casino with the device in his shoe and started to play. The device worked perfectly. Daryl tapped his shoe to count the cards, and the shoe buzzed to signal him to bet big. In just an hour, he had won up to £10,000. However, when he went to cash out his winnings, the casino told him they could only give him a check and asked him to come the next day for cash. The next morning, when he went to collect the winnings, the police were waiting for him. The police held Daryl and Craig separately and questioned both of them for hours. The two had no ID and stuck to their cover of being real estate businessmen. The police searched their hotel room, going through their belongings, but found nothing suspicious. They couldn't find any evidence of cheating, and Daryl was allowed to leave with his winnings. The device had worked, and they had tested it without being caught, too. Their success in England gave them the confidence to use the device elsewhere, and they won large sums in casinos across Europe. They also traveled to casinos in Asia and Australia, adapting their strategies to different casino environments and rules. He and his team were once detained for hours at an airport too, because they were suspected of carrying illegal gambling devices. They managed to talk their way out by sticking to their cover stories and maintaining a calm demeanor. Of course, the devices they used had several technical glitches in the early stages. There were moments when the device malfunctioned during critical moments, and so Daryl was forced to rely solely on his card counting skills without technological help. Daryl's strategy also included psychological manipulation. He put up the facade of a non-threatening, somewhat clumsy gambler. This way he was able to lower the guards of casino staff and avoid suspicion. He and his team would intentionally lose small amounts initially to build trust, and then gradually increase their bets as the odds turned in their favor. The team also had a strict financial management system. They pooled their winnings together, reinvested in better technology, and maintained an emergency fund to bail out any team member who got into trouble. Each team member also had a well-thought-out escape plan in case things went south. They carried fake IDs, had alternate routes mapped out, and even had contacts in various cities who could provide them with safe houses if needed. They stayed under the radar and easily went undetected by the casino security. Daryl was becoming famous for his huge winnings, and eventually he was inducted into the Blackjack Hall of Fame. However, even though they had been successful almost everywhere, the casinos eventually caught on. They changed their procedures, making it harder for Daryl and his team to use their device. He had to go to great lengths to continue his cheating career. He lost weight, dyed his hair, wore contact lenses, grew facial hair, and even changed his name legally to avoid being detected. Despite all of his efforts, the casino eventually caught him. Now, Daryl's story is all about the lengths that people will go to beat the odds, proof of the resilience of the human spirit. His creative device and his strategic thinking skills allowed him to cheat the casinos for a long time. Now, he is still inducted into the Blackjack Hall of Fame and is remembered as one of the greatest card counters and casino cheaters of all time. What do you think about Daryl's innovative device and his fame as a card counter? Let us know down in the comments.